Hey, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Zaji and today I'm going to be talking to you about the make I did for Sew My Style this month. If you haven't heard of Sew My Style, it is basically a challenge run by a couple of bloggers and vloggers here on YouTube who get together and kind of help facilitate a community of people all sewing the same pattern. The idea is that everybody is supposed to take this pattern and kind of make it into their own style, hence Sew My Style. And every month they have a different set of patterns that they're kind of focusing on for the month. Usually there's a pretty good discount. I think I've seen 15% and also 20%. Sometimes it's a little less, but typically there is a discount and there is no fee or anything to join. There is usually a prize at the end of the month. They usually have one during the month as well if you're posting your progress pictures within the Facebook group. But at the end of the month, the very last Sunday is the reveal day, which is today, which is when I'm posting this video. So please do check out the links down below about Sew My Style if you aren't a part of it. It is just super fun to have that kind of camaraderie of other people and you guys are all working on the same project at the same time, which I think is always fun. And it's nice to see how other people have interpreted the pattern and picked fabrics and all of that good stuff. And I'm sure that you love sewing content since you're watching this video, but I really do like the concept of this and I do plan on participating at least with one make every month. But I chose the Chalk and Notch Orchid Midi dress. I really like the look of this dress and I had been seeing it around, and so I decided to do this dress because I feel like it would work for a number of occasions and not just be like a special occasion or be a dress that I would only wear, you know, around the house or to run errands or whatnot. And so I decided to go for this dress. I think this is one of the nicest pieces that I have made, or the most, I don't want to say nicest, but like I can wear this to a really fancy event. Not really fancy, but a much fancier event than any of the other dresses that I've made. I don't think they'd be appropriate, but I think I could get away with wearing this to like a wedding. I can get away with wearing this to church, which I definitely will be doing tomorrow. But I thought that this pattern would be perfect to sew up. And I got this fabric from Joann's. It is a stretch chiffon that was on a huge sale. I'm not really sure why, but I got 3 yards for about $12. And I know that this fabric was originally $19 a yard. So it was a steal. I was so happy that I got it because I love the colors on it. Like everything on this dress is kind of within the color palettes that suit the color palette that suits me and like my coloring. And so I couldn't wait to, you know, make this into something that I knew I would wear often but would still be a little bit special. In making this dress, I cut the size 6. So I did a straight 6. I didn't do any grading or anything like that because my measurements did fall pretty true in line with the sizing that Chalk and Notch had for this pattern. I did, however, alter the dress for my height. I'm 5'10". I think the pattern is suggested, or not suggested, but it's drafted for the height of 5'7". So what I did was I added 1.5 inches to both the main front pieces and the back piece, and then I also added 1.5 inches to the front and back skirts as well. I liked adding 3 inches to the pattern overall just because I liked where the dress would fall with that length as opposed to I guess like the suggested length or the way the pattern is actually meant to fall. I just felt like it would be a little bit more flattering on me. I like a little bit of a longer skirt and I wanted to get as much of this fabric in as I could. So those were all the alterations that I made to this pattern. The fabric with this pattern may have not been a super great match, mostly because the sleeves are a little bit stiff. I hope that translates on the camera. Yeah, so they're just a little bit stiff. Like, they still are floaty and they move around, but I'm pretty sure that they're intended to be just a little bit drapier. So because this fabric is a little bit stiff, I probably should have done a single layer with a narrow hem instead of doing 2 layers together. So you can see that, well, these are pretty close match, but the back ones is, nope, that one's a pretty good match too. Is it on this side? Yeah, so you can see like it's 2 different layers. And I kind of like that effect, but just because I know what the pattern was really intended to look like, it kind of bothers me. But when I showed it to my mom, she really liked the sleeves. But I really like the way that this sewed up. I think that if you are a confident beginner who's willing to take their time with this dress, I think that you definitely could do it. I think that might be what this pattern was recommended for, but for me, it sewed up pretty quick. What took the longest amount of time was cutting out the pattern pieces because this fabric is so slippery. I contemplated like covering it with spray starch so that it wouldn't slip past each other as much, but I decided in the end not to do that, and I just cut all of the pattern pieces out on a single layer, which was tedious to say the least. It took me longer, I think, to cut out the pattern pieces than it did for me to even sew this up, which is just like, come on now. So in the future I might work with rayon just because I feel like I'm a little bit more confident sewing rayon. I've sewn many garments out of rayon, and I love the way that that drapes, and I think that it would be beautiful, a beautiful fabric base to use for this pattern. But at the end of the day, I did get everything cut out, and oh my gosh, wow, now I don't even know what I was talking about. In the end, I was able to cut out all of the pieces. None of them were too skewed, and if they were, I kind of just trued them up and, you know, made it work. It's nothing that was just majorly noticeable or something that I probably should have done again, but I did notice that I had difficulty finding a good balance on my machine with the tension and stitch length because I originally was using a larger needle, but I switched down to a 70 because obviously this is a finer fabric, and that made the sewing a little bit easier, but my machine was still trying to eat this fabric quite a bit. So that, I think, is what took me more time than anything else. Otherwise, it was a pretty good sew. I definitely would recommend this pattern because it is a nice, just kind of staple, you know, I want to look put together kind of dress because, I mean, the details on it are beautiful. I love the gathering here at the yoke. I think that's very, very flattering on someone like me. I like to have a little bit more volume at my bust and my hips just because it kind of exaggerates, not exaggerates, but highlights my figure a little bit more. And the waist tie cinching in really does also help with keeping my shape instead of just looking kind of like a sack. So it's not something that I normally would go for, but I loved that this was one of the options because it ended up being such a great sew for me and a great make. It was a pretty like fast win, and I love a quick win when it comes to sewing because we all know there are projects that can go on for days and weeks, and you know, depending on the fabrics, you know, the pattern, whatever it is that you're sewing up. But yeah, I did enjoy this pattern. I may make this dress again, we'll see. I do have quite a few things on my plate right now, and I think that I will talk to you guys a little bit about my plans for July and what I plan on sewing up, and put that on this channel as well as on my blog. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, just be sure to go ahead and click that red button down below and follow me on Instagram. I'll have my handle up here on the screen and also down below if you want to find me there, as well as the blog post that goes along with this video. I appreciate you taking the time to hear what I have to say about this pattern, and let me know any thoughts that you had on this pattern if you have sewn it up, or if you are thinking about sewing it up. If my video was helpful, please do let me know or give me a thumbs up. And with all of that said, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. Thanks again. Bye-bye.